Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Things continue to fall apart for the prosecution team, folks. I have honestly never seen anything like it. We've covered a couple high-profile cases on this YouTube channel, and of course I've had a keen interest in this stuff for maybe the last decade or so. I have never seen a prosecutor and a prosecution team so ill-prepared and so hell-bent on breaking procedure in order to continually pursue their politically motivated charges. It's honestly astonishing, but what an absolute embarrassment it has been for the state. What an absolute train wreck this entire trial has been. You wouldn't be wrong calling the whole thing a sham. In fact, you probably wouldn't even be going far enough. But of course, the saving grace for this entire situation is, as we've been covering, the judge in this trial. This judge is not playing any games, folks. And he absolutely lit up the prosecution team today without holding back whatsoever on the live feed in front of the jury, in front of everybody, absolutely excoriating the state prosecutor, making him look like an absolute fool, making him look like an absolute amateur as he continues to try to break legal proceeding, continues to taint the trial in his quest to throw a 17-year-old child's life away, his entire future. But luckily enough, the entire thing is backfiring. Things have gotten so bad with the prosecution team that we are now possibly seeing a case, an argument for a mistrial. The judge even himself alluded to it, and now Kyle Rittenhouse's legal team is now potentially even looking towards that avenue as the state's case continues to fall apart. Folks, we've got a lot of stuff to get into, but before we do, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, take a look at this headline right over here. Kyle Rittenhouse lawyer will ask for a mistrial over prosecutor's line of questioning and his attempt to introduce inadmissible evidence. And folks, this is not just hearsay, it's being reported from a reputable source. Reuters Legal on Twitter writes, Rittenhouse's lawyer says he is going to be making a motion for a mistrial. And so the question is, what exactly happened? Well, it all stems from this little encounter right over here. Excuse the language, but Greg Price writes, holy effing S. The judge just completely snapped at the Rittenhouse prosecutor with the quote, I was astonished when you began his examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 to 50 years.
My understanding of
you should have come and asked for reconsideration. You did on the one motion, and in fact, I granted your motion for reconsideration.
That was not our motion.
Excuse me. I did. I granted.
We did not move
that
to
was
reconsider.
Their motion.
We have not filed any motions to reconsider in this case.
That was their motion for reconsideration, which I denied. But I said I denied it, or I indicated a bias towards denial is what I did. Held it open with a bias towards denial. Why would you think that that made it okay for you, without any advance notice, to bring this matter before the jury? I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that. And it gives, well, I'll leave it at that. So I don't know what you're up to.
May I respond?
Yes.
We filed an other acts motion on this exact issue because, in my mind, and I argued this, it is identical to what was going on the night of August 25th, in the sense that the defendant was using this exact same weapon. He was using it in a manner to try and protect property.
No, he wasn't.
Your Honor, with all due respect,
I'm not going to rehash the motion. That's absolutely untrue. No. Your argument's of record. My comments are of record, and why I ruled as I did is of record. There's nothing that I heard in this trial to suggest anything's changed. Even if you're correct in your assumption that you know more than I did at the time, you should have come to the court and say, I want to go into this. Why you would think that you could go into it without any...
I told you guys, this judge is not messing around. The prosecution team was deliberately told, following multiple requests from the prosecution team, to have this quote evidence admitted into the trial. The judge specifically said, do not do it, I do not accept. It's irrelevant to the case and you are trying to affect the jury's perspective of the young man, Not to mention, multiple times the prosecutor seems to put words into Kyle Rittenhouse's mouth or thoughts into his brain. He seems to assume what Kyle Rittenhouse was thinking at certain points, and even made the claim at one point that Kyle Rittenhouse had the intent to shoot someone or end someone without any evidence whatsoever. I mean, completely tainting the trial, assuming motive and declaring it as if it's fact, which just continues to show just how disingenuous, frankly, just how evil this prosecution team is, that has no intention whatsoever to achieve justice, but rather only to convict. It's what we see all the time with these prosecutors. A perfect example is Kamala Harris, who went through incredible lengths to keep her prosecution record as high as possible. I mean, it's absolutely sickening. It's like a win-loss ratio to these people. They're trying to get as many numbers into the W column and the least amount possible into the L column in some sort of twisted game of ranking. And of course, a total disregard for the lives that they're destroying. Not only should this be a mistrial, but the case should have never been brought in the first place. There was no case. And now, of course, I don't have a degree in law. I'm not an expert whatsoever in really anything legal, but I did a little bit of research. Maybe you guys out there that have a law degree can tell me if I'm right or not. This is specifically in relation to a mistrial due to a hung jury. But it says after a mistrial has been declared due to a hung jury, the prosecutor has the option of considering how to proceed. In some cases, the prosecutor may end up dismissing the charges levied against the defendant. Now, I'm not sure if this only applies to a mistrial itself, but from my perspective, if in fact this is an avenue, possibly, if a mistrial is declared, you think the prosecution team might just drop the charges entirely and spare themselves the complete humiliation that they have faced in this specific trial? I mean, maybe. At the same time, maybe a little bit unlikely as well, considering what we know about left-wing partisans and their track record of doubling, tripling, quadrupling, and quintupling down, as we've been saying in multiple videos throughout November. But honestly, for the most part, I don't even think Kyle is going to need it at this point. It seems as though he's winning. Now, of course, you absolutely never know what's going to happen in these cases, and he could, of course, be charged to the fullest extent of the law. But for the most part, I'm just not getting that feeling. And of course, speaking of genuine, and if you guys have followed any lawsuits or court cases in general, you've probably heard it a million times before that it's highly suggested that the defendant should not take the stand and not face cross-examination. But in this case, the defense team has gone with a little bit of a Hail Mary play here, and they put Kyle on the stand. The kid broke down.
And there were three people right there.
Take a deep breath, Kyle.
That's what I run.
We're going to just take time for our break anyway. You can just relax for a minute, sir. We're going to take a break about 10 minutes, and please don't talk about the case during the break. Read, watch, or listen to any economy trial.
And you know, it's genuine. He's not just a psychopath who went there looking for trouble. The guy was trying to put out a fire and was surrounded and chased and threatened by highly hyper-aggressive individuals, some who were armed. He ran away the entire time, sought refuge with police officers, ran towards safety, and throughout the entire situation, practiced extreme discipline and hesitancy to actually pull the trigger. You know, I feel for the kid. If I thought he was a monster and he went there for politically motivated reasons and he was looking to do harm, I would never, ever defend him. But in this case, it's just not the case. That's my honest opinion. He seems like a kid who may have made a couple of bad decisions. You could probably make an argument that he probably shouldn't have been there, but the argument for self-defense, the right to defend your own body against aggressive agitators and people who were seeking to do you harm, well, for me, folks, that's pretty much a done deal. And if I was on the jury, I would vote not guilty without a shred of doubt, and I'd be able to sleep perfectly, knowing that I had made that decision. I'm not exactly sure if lefties would be able to do the same. They ought to feel so ashamed and so embarrassed of all the misinformation and all the nonsense that they've been spreading over the last year and a half. I mean, who am I kidding? You need to have actual human emotion to feel something like that. And given the smears and the attacks and the straight up misinformation that has been spread by the left in this case, in total sociopathic nature, I highly doubt they feel any sort of remorse, shame, or embarrassment whatsoever. For them, all that matters matters is red or blue. All that matters is right or left. And for them, perceiving Kyle Rittenhouse as a right-winger justifies throwing his life away, regardless of what the evidence says in the first place. It's absolutely despicable, and he should have never been charged by the state in the first place. And I believe that more and more each and every single day that this trial goes down. But of course, that's what I got for you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share it as much as possible. We're still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm. I gotta get back to work though. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.